I don't like pickles. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll save the pickle questions for the end, but
There you go.
pickles aside, a good day for you so far, aside from, answering the same questions about yourself over and over and over again?
Yeah, well, everyone tries to throw in at least one or two slightly different ones, which is always cool, especially when it's kind of more conversational. You never know where it goes. So it's cool. They've been keeping me busy all week, and apparently I'm going to be busy all next week too. And in the middle
Okay.
of that, I just signed 1,000 CD booklets last night. So I'm like,
Well, that's better than nobody wanting your music and
these
nobody wanting to talk to you.
these are problems that are good to have. Absolutely.
Exactly. So if we can keep the compliments going right here, I mean, people never stop talking about Raven, but when you get to do the 50th anniversary victory lap, that's a fantastic thing. Now, my question for you, because that's not a question, is do you keep anniversaries and all that on a calendar? Do you pay attention to that stuff? Or is there management going, by the way?
Neither. There isn't a management doing that. Although we did have our agent last year shouting about it's the anniversary of Live at the Inferno. And we're like, nah, we got a new record out when if you really do need a handle, we can do that. We did Wiped Out here in the States back in 22. And
Mhm.
we actually did All for One over in the UK for 2023, which was fun. But I don't want to spend the rest of our next, 10, 15 years every time an anniversary comes up. If it's a fun thing to do, fine, we'll do it. But you know, we're in this peculiar position of being that legacy band at 50 years, which is kind of mind blowing. But we're not. Most legacy bands like this, they're done. It's all about the old hits, the old albums, and the whole nostalgia trip. And we're making new music, and we're making new music better than pretty much everything we've ever put out. And it's exciting.
Mhm.
So, we've got our feet in both camps, as it were.
That makes sense. And one thing that I'm curious about that I can't just figure out by looking at a bio or Wikipedia is so Raven kind of has these four different pockets of fan bases. There's the US people, because obviously the Zazulas and all that built a thing over here, and you've recorded a lot in New Jersey over the years. Okay. Then there's the traditional UK and European fan base, including the German stuff. Then there's the Japanese fan base. Then there's the South American fan base. And you've had to juggle all these different fan bases. So what I can't figure out is, were the hits the same in all the territories for Raven?
Yeah, pretty much. What we found going to South America is, because a lot of the albums weren't available, but the Atlantic ones were. So a lot of
Mhm.
people know Stay Hard. A lot of people know The Pack is Back. And there's actually an Argentinian version of The Pack is Back, which is like, Los Palupas, Gans Babuduchka, Pack is Back, whatever. It's like,
That
what?
sounds more German, but still, yes.
Well, hey, we were in Paraguay last year. You know where
Yeah.
we ate? We ate in a German restaurant.
I mean, meat is meat, so that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah, that's for sure. There wasn't any war criminals, but thank God for that.
But so to paraphrase, like the hits are the hits. So the reason I asked that, because other bands that you'll speak with, for example, OMD, I don't know why I'm thinking of OMD, but their biggest hit in the US was not even a single in Europe. So sometimes you have those cases where you go to another territory and you go, our set is nothing like what we rehearsed at home. But Raven is able to do like the same, roughly the same show
Pretty
everywhere.
much, yeah, pretty much. Because it's more album based, so you've got the diehards who want to hear the early stuff, and you've got because the new stuff's been getting attention, they want to hear stuff off Metal City and
Mhm.
All Hell's Breaking Loose, and we kind of tailor the set. Last year we were doing we did Inquisitor, which is like one of the first songs we ever wrote or recorded. And it was 50th anniversary, so it seemed appropriate to pull something out of left field. And that was fun. It's always good to do something like that.
For you, does it come easy with the tour prep? Meaning, do you have to do a lot of rehearsals?
We've never rehearsed since 2017, and that was when Joe had left. He had a heart attack, and we had a guy in from Chicago, and we rehearsed for 4 hours with him. Since then, we've never rehearsed with Mike once.
Wow. So no sound checks either?
Oh well, sound checks, yeah. I mean that would be what would be the word? Suicidal. I'm not walking out and not making sure everything works. But we basically talk and we'll discuss what we're going to do.
Hmm.
And if anything's a little hairy, we'll go over it and sound check. But I mean, we did a set in Japan like 2 years ago. They wanted two completely different sets, and one
Hmm.
of them they wanted only old stuff. So Mike listened to the Sweet medley off the first album. Okay, I got it. Played it once in sound check. Okay, it's great. Go. And then we did
I,
the Wiped Out album,
yeah.
and we couldn't do all of that in sound check. We played a couple of songs that we weren't, 100% on just to be sure, and we went out and did it, and it works. The trouble is with rehearsal back in the bad old days, all we ever do was goof around and play cover tunes, so we never got any work done anyway.
Okay. Well, a question I have about Can't Take Away the Fire in the 50th anniversary is there's the bonus tracks where one was tracked in Jersey a few years ago, one was from Germany 30-ish years ago, one's from the Netherlands like 30 to 40 years ago. Does that mean that there's a big collection of soundboards and live recordings of Raven?
Well, I'm currently working my way through crap like this.
Oh,
So yeah, we do have a bunch, and of course the quality is an issue. I mean, I'm looking at the possibility of doing. We did a great box set for Rock Until You Drop with a lot of
mhm.
extras and demos and live stuff. And I'm trying to work that out for other albums, and it's difficult because the quality of some of these bootlegs is just chains like recording a chainsaw underwater from 1,000 yards or something.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit difficult, but there are nuggets here and there. So I'm working on it, and let's see what we can come up with. And like I say, I'm having to dig through all of these tapes, and you put it in, you go, ugh, I can't even tell what song it is. It's that bad.
Well, this is intended to be a compliment towards you and Raven's success. So don't let your mind go elsewhere. So Raven, of course, started like an independent band, then it went to Atlantic and did the major label thing, and then there were some years of going like, what are we? What are we going to do? Mark's setback and all that kind of stuff. But now at this point, you're like a successful cottage industry. You're your own niche. You can kind of come out and do what you want when do you want. And I look at that as success. That when you don't have to be anyone else, you get to be yourself for a living. When did you kind of realize that Raven was going to be okay on that end and not chasing singles?
Oh, we we made a conscious decision after the whole debacle with doing the Packers back. So that was a case of us being naive and being persuaded to do something a lot more commercial. And being commercial is a part of what we do, maybe
Hmm.
25-30% because of hooks and structure. But it has to be mixed with the chaos and the craziness and the turns out of left field, what have you. And we just said, enough, we're going to please ourselves
Hmm.
because we never really thought about it before. And it worked for us. And that's where it's honest, where you're just making music that you like, and hopefully people come along for the ride. And because it's pure and comes from the right place, people tend to latch onto that,
Well said.
and that's worked. Uh, you know, we were bouncing around between record companies in the 90s, and also the musical climate was very weird.
Yeah.
Initially it was either thrash or glam, and then grunge swept all that away, and then you had I don't know what following that, new metal or whatever. It was always something different. And finally, around 1997, heavy metal started to get like respected again in Europe, and
Mhm.
we had a very successful tour then. And we were building on that when Mark had his accident, and that took us off the road for like 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
Got it. Well, a couple stupid questions and then I'll let you go. You ready for the stupid questions, John?
absolutely, brother.
Okay, first one. You're the first John Gallagher who made it successfully, but there's that Broadway actor and musician Johnny Gallagher Jr. Any encounters with Johnny Gallagher Jr.?
I haven't. Wasn't he playing Jack Ryan in some series relatively recently?
I believe so. He's in a lot of movies. He starred in the Green Day American Idiot musical on Broadway, and that propelled him to TV and film. And then now he's making solo records. So
Haven't
he
run
has to
into
have his
him.
name that way because of you, I guess.
Oh wow. There's also a John Gallagher plays in I don't know if they're Death Black or whatever. I think they're called Dying Fetus, and we have a mutual friend in this woman who does merch occasionally for us, Robin, and she goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, both of you are together. Got to take a photograph." It was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And that was it. So that's all I know.
And then related to that, there was a really famous professional wrestler named Raven. Were there any encounters with Raven the wrestler over the years?
No, where we've only had a couple of encounters with wrestling in any capacity. In '85, I believe it was, we played a show in Chicago, and Tank opened up, and then we had a wrestling bout in the middle of the hall, and then we played. So that was whacked, and we also did Chris Jericho's thing like 2 years ago. His cruise, which was awesome.
Yeah. Um, I didn't realize that. I went on two of those Jericho cruises, but not the one with Raven. That was my mistake, I guess.
Ah, you missed out.
Okay. And then the last question I have for you is all everyone really knows about you is the music. They think of you as this metal person, but obviously you grow up, your tastes evolve, you've seen the world a bunch of times. What's the number two passion or number three outside of music and family for you? What's your main hobby? Because we don't know that, John.
Well, during the pandemic, I started making a lot of guitars. So I built like, oh geez, like four for my brother, like three Flying V's and a Telecaster with a Evertune bridge, which actually did all the rhythm tracks on the EP and on the last album, All Hell's Breaking Loose. And the
Mhm.
leads were done with one of the V's mainly. So that was cool. And I built a lot of basses for myself. So it's still pretty much music related. Uh, yeah, that and hating pickles. Yeah, that would be it.
Is this hating pickles a real thing?
I I just don't like them. It just come up the other day. Somebody was talking about it.
That's very interesting. So that means no foods that are along those lines. So no kimchi, no
Oh, I
sauerkraut.
don't mind. I don't mind kimchi. I just don't like when when you order a hamburger and they put this juicy thing that has vinegar on it all over your food, and it's just like you just ruined it. Thank you very much.
John, you're a legend on stage and off stage. And thank you for the decades of great art and looking forward to what's to come, whether it's remasters, new music, gigs, etc. Keep it up.
Well, we're writing with a new one, and of course, this EP shows where we're going, and which is into the world of crazy. So I'm happy about that.
Into the world of crazy.
Paltrocast.